Foldables are getting better, but how good can they get? As you may know, Samsung just had their Samsung Unpacked event where they announced two particular phones that caught people's attention. They were the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 3 5G, still a mouthful, and the Samsung Galaxy Flip 3 5G, also a mouthful. Just as a side note, they need to simplify these names. Like, I get that they strayed away from simply calling it the Galaxy Fold over the blunders of the first generation, and I also get that they want to stick 5G into their name to show off that their phones are 5G capable. But we could definitely do a simpler branding. There are just too many words in their names right now. So anyways, these two foldables just came out, and I must say they are the first Samsung foldables to actually look nice for once. More or less. Of course, this is all subjective, but I was really not a big fan of the look of the very first Galaxy Fold. It felt super clunky. One half of the exterior of the phone looked like the back of a cheap old phone from 2011, while the other half looked super disproportionate. And the folding screen portion of the phone felt oddly movie-like, with the camera corner notch physically being separated from the rest of the screen. It's like they actually wanted to make it look quote-unquote futuristic. It was definitely one of the ugliest phones of that year, and with the price point so high, you can't justify that. The same goes for the Galaxy Z Flip series. The first generation had a design that was super first generation and experimental. I did not like the colorful back at all. The camera module looked generic and cheap for a phone that expensive, but at least when you opened up the phone like all the way like that, it looked almost indistinguishable from a normal phone, which they really pulled off really well. That is why I think the Z Flip was a better first generation phone than the Fold was. But then again, they did have the experience from the Fold to learn from. And granted, it may also be because of the unusual form factor of the Galaxy Fold that's making me like it less. But isn't that the whole point of foldables? To nail a foldable form factor that appeals to the needs of the people? In today's day and age, we have all adapted to the vertical aspect ratio of smartphones, which has taken over a decade to perfect. The Galaxy Fold went against all those rules, which is forcing them to create a market of its own kind of. When the second generation of the Fold came along, the rebranded Z Fold 2, again, bad name, it came with lots of appealing improvements. It came with nicer colors, the physical camera notch was gone from the folding screen. It came with the nice fancy looking camera module as the Galaxy Note, and overall it was sleeker design wise. And as for the Z Flip 2, wait, what was new with the Z Flip 2? Yada yada yada. Z Fold. Wait, what? So they just skipped from the Z Flip 1 to 3. What the heck? I didn't know that. When did that happen? Okay, so I guess the Z Flip 3 is, after all, the successor to the original Z Flip, which I guess would make sense because when the Z Flip was first announced, I remember thinking to myself, wow, it felt like the first gen just came out. So yeah, okay. The Z Flip 3 looks really nice. It has a better design than the Fold in my opinion. The glass back makes the phone feel less like an experimental phone and, you know, more sturdy. The small screen next to the camera is now much bigger to allow for more screen real estate. And blacking out that whole portion of the phone to make the screen look seamless with its surroundings is such a nice looking move. It makes it look similar to the Pixel 2 XL, the Pixel 6, along with the Nexus 6P from a while ago. It's an underrated design element to say the least. Same goes for the Fold 3. While the design upgrade may not be as big of a leap as the change between the first and second Fold, it continues to cement itself as a legit phone rather than a gimmick. And now again, some of you might be thinking that I'm overemphasizing the design over the technical specs of these phones. And to that I say that the design is the most important element of these phones. You have to keep in mind that these are relatively new form factors that are still trying to enter the mainstream phone market. Well, smartphone market to be clear. Plus, the specs on these phones are already pretty good for the average user anyways, unlike Microsoft's foldable phone, which didn't even have a flexible screen. And speaking of other foldables, it's needless to say that Samsung isn't the only one with foldables of these kinds. Huawei has their own exterior screen foldable. Motorola even brought back the Razr brand with a new foldable similar to the Z Flip. But the battle of the foldables isn't about which company has the best spec or best priced foldable phone in the market. It's about who has the best form factor. What's the most practical design for the majority of people? Are foldables even practical for most people? Or are they just a gimmick that these companies are trying really hard to legitimize? Or are we just too used to the current norm that we push actually practical form factors away? Now, it's really hard to say now because even though foldables have been around for at least a couple of years now, it hasn't seemed to take off quite just yet. With rumors that more and more companies have foldables in the works, it may just pave the way for the future of smartphones, and it might even change the way people view smartphones and technology as a whole. So yeah, that's it.